All right, welcome back to the Direct Response Podcast. On today's show, we have Nick Theriot. Most of you are probably familiar with him. He's a media buyer. He's scaled all kinds of ecom offers. He's been in the game for many years now, and we have the chance to ask him some questions. So thank you, Nick, for coming on. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me on, Fernando. I'm actually excited for this. Huge fan of direct response, obviously. So any opportunity we can speak about some direct response ads, it's like, hey, I'm game. So I appreciate you having me on.
For sure. Amazing. So could you start us off with a quick, background about you? Anything we don't know?
I mean, there's a lot to know about me, I guess you could say, from just like YouTube and stuff like that. But, for just like the general people who are, first time hearing about me and everything like that, my name's Nick Theriot. I've been writing ads now for 10 years. I wrote my first ad ever, October of 2015. So technically it's like 9 years, and I'm literally like 14 days away from 10 years in this industry, actually writing direct response ads now. But yeah, so dropped out of college, started my first business. When I started my first business, I needed a way to get customers, found Facebook ads. Then I learned like what you say in those ads actually drive customers to your business. So that's how I discovered like copywriting, direct response advertising. And to be fair, I just found a natural love for it the minute that I started writing and starting to understand like how to actually convey emotion and, talking about a product into an ad and get people to buy. It's just a really cool feeling. Allows you to be creative, but also to like make money from your creativity and stuff. And then 10 years later now, I've started an agency. I've started a YouTube channel teaching everything I know about ads and direct response on that YouTube channel as well. I've done a little over $100 million in revenue for my clients through direct response advertising and stuff like that just over the last 5 years. So overall, it's probably like, I guess you could say a full background on me and everything like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So now that we know, the gist of it, let's dive into direct response. So for those clients that you're working with, what does the ad format look like on Facebook? Are you running any VSLs? Is it direct response UGC? What's your go-to?
I think it's a little bit of everything, to be fair. I wouldn't say it's just one, and that's because like, creative diversity is the biggest one. I think for me, my most popular format though is literally just going into like 11 labs, tossing a script into 11 labs, getting an AI voiceover, getting a bunch of B-roll we have on file. And like obviously everything's gonna be direct response. I'm not doing any branding plays or anything like that there. So we have a desire, we have an awareness, we have an avatar we want to talk to. We start off with that, and then the whole ad's based around that.
Okay, awesome. And on the funnel side, are you using advertorials, listicles, quizzes? What do you see working the best for D2C?
I think listicles are my favorite. Just because of how quickly they are to pop out. For the average person, they can crush it with listicles very quickly. For advertorials, they're significantly harder to produce and actually like create. But I find those having the largest success when you do hit an advertorial. Typically for me, like my unaware and problem-aware markets, I'm doing advertorials. And then for my like solution-aware, product-aware markets, I'm doing more listicles specifically. And then lastly is I will do, I like to turn my advertorials into VSLs. So once I find a winning advertorial, VSLs are typically harder to produce, just because like you have to like get an actor and like, I don't know, there's just a lot more stuff going on into a 10 to 20 minute long video. Whereas like an advertorial, I can test a lot more of those a lot more efficiently, then take the winning advertorial and just make that my VSL script. And I find those work the best right there to like go into VSLs and stuff. And then lastly, quizzes. Quizzes is something I've actually recently been testing out. I haven't done much of those, but I've recently started testing those. I haven't really had any huge successes with them yet, but they are fun. I do like them. I like them specifically for qualification, so where like it makes the product feel a little bit more unique and custom to them. If we qualify them based off a couple problems they're having, diagnosing them, and then from there even qualifying them before they buy, they're really fun. So we haven't had any huge wins though I can really gloat about with those, but I've been having a lot of fun using those. I've been using HeyFlow to create them, and we've been enjoying those a lot lately for that.
Yeah, I've seen the quizzes crush it for supplements for exactly that reason. It feels custom, it feels unique to you. Less so for the physical products. Just to give you a little bit of a background, our audience is mostly direct response ecom offer owners doing VSLs and advertorials. So VSLs anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes to an advertorial funnel. That's what most of these guys are doing. So When it comes to the media buying side, VSLs are different, right? They're a longer ad. It's a different type of traffic. It's a different quality of traffic compared to like a 30 or 60-second ad. How do you go about that when it comes to media buying? You know, like you're going to take more time to get reliability of the results. Like you're going to test more variations. It's a little bit more complex, right? So could you talk about that a little bit, media buying the longer ads?
I mean, are we looking at it from like I think this is also like a misconception as well. Is a VSL for you guys like running traffic to a VSL landing page?
Okay,
or
yeah,
are we talking about a VSL creative?
We're talking about VSL creatives.
Okay,
Indeed.
that's the big thing. And that's funny too, because I know recently like people have been looking at VSLs as like the actual creative, not come from like the personal branding world, which personal branding world, we're looking at VSL landing pages. So not everyone's talking about VSLs. I'm like, wait, hold up. Which one are we talking about here? But as far as like actual VSLs inside of the campaign itself, I mean, we're not really doing anything different in terms of like how we're testing and stuff. Due to it taking a lot longer to produce and stuff, obviously we want to give it the highest possible chance of performing. So usually this will come down to like, okay, let's say, you know, we get this 15-20 minute long video created, right? From there, taking that, can we swap out the beginning? You know, what are our macro, like our big control levers of getting that VSL to work? From a media buying perspective, we're just launching in the campaign, to be fair. I mean, we're not doing anything special. Maybe we'll put like a little bit higher of like a minimum spin on that particular ad sets where like Facebook prioritizes it at the end of the day to get some spin and everything. But for the most part, a lot of it's going to be back down to the creative side of, okay, hey, we tested this VSL, it didn't perform, you know, it had a really high cost per click. It barely gets any spin and stuff like that, has a really low watch rate and stuff. What can we do first, starting off with that beginning part right there, the hook, reworking that from a visual side and a textual side, and then the lead as well, just that first like 30, 60 seconds of that video right there. Can we rework that to where it really pulls people in a little bit better? Then from there, we'll just kind of test other versions right there of just like at like this particular moment right here, this doesn't quickly align. And usually those are more like specific to like certain creatives where we actually identify a problem in the video that we're running.
Got it. And to circle back, we did mention misconceptions, but could you go deeper into some? I'm sure you see, you know, a lot of misconceptions that you can identify. Could you enlighten us a little bit?
Like in terms of like VSL?
Media buying misconceptions.
Oh, media buying misconceptions.
There's a lot of those.
I made a post about that today on Twitter because the major first misconception a lot of people think is that they think that, oh, if I want to spend more on Facebook, I need like a really complex ad account. I need dozens of campaigns. I need to be doing cost caps. I need to be doing ABO. I need to be doing bid caps. Like I need to be doing it all to like spend. And like for us, you know, we're spending 300, 400K a month inside of a Facebook ad account. And like, we're literally running one campaign per product category. We're keeping it extremely simple. We're spending 5-10 minutes a day inside the ad account. Whereas like people think you need to be spending all day inside of the ad account, just tweaking out over all the little settings and stuff. And I say that from experience because I used to do the same. And I got very, very poor results until I shifted over to like just focusing all on like direct response principles and stuff of the ads, the landing page, the offer, and optimization of the AOV. So I think misconception one is just time in the ad account and what they need to focus on. Misconception number two is that Facebook is against us. I've seen so many people talk about that where it's like, you know, Facebook doesn't want to make us money because, you know, they want to have all the money. If they see us winning, they're going to charge us more and like all of that stuff. And I'm like, that's completely false. Like Facebook knows you're going to spend more money if you're profitable. So they're going to do everything in their power to help you become profitable and make you more money. But they can only do so much with the assets you give it. And those assets are your creatives, your landing page, your product itself. And if you're giving it bad assets, like they still have to make sure that customers log onto their platform every day. And those customers are not advertisers. Those are people that actually scroll the platform on the Facebook feed. And if we're pissing those people off, we won't even have an audience to run ads to. So they have to protect their platforms. So that's why when you give it bad ads, scammy looking Facebook landing pages, when you give it scammy products and stuff like that, that's why they demote you with higher CPM and stuff. So I think the first one is Facebook's not out there against you. Facebook wants to work with you. And then from there, from like the last misconception, I think it just kind of goes back down to like what we talked about earlier on control and stuff. For us, we keep it super simple. We give Facebook all the control. All we do is just change the budget and change the creatives. And then that way for us, it's the creative and the landing page creates the audience. So Facebook actually goes through that whole creative to understand who you're targeting. It also goes one layer deep onto the landing page you're sending traffic to help out with targeting and optimization and stuff. So if we can give, again, Facebook better assets, it can help us out a lot with improving performance. And I would say those are probably like the 3 biggest misconceptions right now that I would say like people that are like spending $500 to $1,000 a day, usually those people are ones that like overcome this and then, you know, scale further. But there's even been accounts that 5, 10K a day spend that they still have these misconceptions. And when we fix those in those accounts, then it's like, oh shoot, now we're spending 25, 30, 40K a day in ad spend because we've swapped around those misconceptions right there.
So it's really just simplify and focus everything on the creative.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It seems like that's been the advice for a long time, but everyone just doesn't want to believe it.
And the cool thing is like Facebook's forcing people to do it now. We've seen this with Advantage Plus campaigns and Advantage Plus targeting and all that. Like Facebook is literally like shifting everything around to, hey, you only need this one campaign and you fill it up with good creative. And that's it. And I guess it's just because it's so simple, people do not want to listen to it. And then also too, it's that good creative is such a perspective driven comment that there's no definition of good creative. And every person you talk to is going to have a different perspective on what good creative is. I mean, for me, it's like you're going out there, you're doing the research, you're building out specific creatives to reach these people that we just did research on, build a hypothesis on how this creative is going to effectively target and talk to them, overcoming all their beliefs and things they leverage to buy, and then being able to put all that in anywhere between a static ad to a 20-minute long VSL, depending on what level of awareness you're targeting. And then that's a good creative right there. And that's going to be different, again, from a perspective of like anyone you talk to.
Right. Of course. Okay. Thank you. And then when it comes to testing these ads, what are like some of the biggest bottlenecks that you see repeatedly, the biggest patterns that these ad accounts have where the ads are just stalling or they're not scaling?
I think a big one people don't look at is frequency. A lot of the accounts that we take over that are at a plateau, or a lot of my student accounts and stuff, and they're kind of stuck at a certain level of ad spend and everything like that. And they're testing new creatives, but they're not getting anywhere. It's usually when I go look at their top 2 or 3 highest spending ads and their frequency on a 7-day window is really high, like 1.5, 1.6, maybe even 1.8. And for me, that's how I look at like ad fatigue in a way. And it's not necessarily ad fatigue. It's more of, hey, we're hitting a ceiling. So to blow beyond that ceiling, we need to create ads that can spend more than these ads, but with a lower frequency. And this is always going to come down to creating creatives that reach a substantially larger group of people right there. Now, sometimes this may be completely changing the avatar, and other times might just be how we're communicating to this particular avatar. Sometimes you have the right avatar, but you're just communicating to this particular avatar in a really bad way to where you're only appealing to like a 10% of that avatar right there. So there's been times where it's just a simple change like that. There's been other times where like we're going after an avatar and we're only using like UGC videos and we never tried any other type of creative. And then we go and try like a completely different creative type, like maybe a photo ad with an advertorial, and that performs 100 times better than the UGC. So sometimes just changing the creative type plays an impact on that. We may be communicating to the wrong particular desire, where like we may be going after something that's not urgent at all or not relevant at all, and then we change that desire to something that's more relevant, people are actually going through right now. So usually with those plateaus and stuff, it's understanding, number one, the frequency side. Are we doing really good on the frequency side to the point where maybe we have like a 1.02 frequency last 7 days on my highest spending ads? Literally one of my students yesterday, I was hopped in a call with them, like they're spending $30,000. I think it's like 30 grand, 30, 40 grand a week they're spending. So a decent amount of money on ads. And like literally all their ads have like a 1.05 frequency, which is amazing. It's really good. It means it's appealing to majority new people every week, but they had no lower funnel ads. So all of their ads were unaware ads, but no lower funnel ads. So I was like, hey, if we want to bring down cost per purchase, we're funneling in tons of people and traffic into this business. So now we need to complete the other half of that sales cycle. Because as you start to spend more, you start going past, it's the adoption curve where like 1% of people are like ready to take action now. Then like 2.5% are a little bit more skeptical, but they take action. They just need a little bit more convincing. Then like it just keeps going up right there. So as we start to spend more, we also get to more skeptical people to where we have to do a little bit more convincing and selling power. And that's where beefing up that lower funnel, more product aware ads and stuff like that, answering objections, questions, testimonials, case studies and stuff like that actually helps us lower cost per acquisition entirely for the ad account to where then we can actually go and spend even more now. Because now we have we patch the holes in the bucket with no lower funnel ads and all top of funnel ads. We have a lot of holes in our bucket and all that water is just flowing right through the bucket.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's, I think, super common that people really dial in the cold traffic, which is the hardest part, but then they don't have anything below. You already kind of answered this, but like, how would you recommend someone approach building out that bottom part of the funnel? And would you say to keep everything in the same campaign? Because you talked about that simplicity, and then it's just the creative that's doing the retargeting.
Yeah. So we keep everything the same campaign. We don't build out like different campaigns for retargeting or anything like that. We don't even touch on like retargeting audiences in like the fashion of like website visitors last 7 days, website visitors or add to cart, stuff like that. Like we literally still target the same just Advantage Plus audience and let Facebook do the work and stuff. Anytime we're working on an ad account or like new students come out of program and stuff, I always make sure we start off with closest to the money, which is gonna be like your aware ads, which is just like literally take whatever offer you have now, slap it on a creative, and let it run. We're not really doing anything crazy, selling power or anything like that. It's just aware. Boom, here's our offer. Boom. Then we'll like go up into like the product aware stage, create all the ads for that stage, then go to solution aware, create all the ads for that stage, problem aware, unaware. And I found that's always worked the best because it's like building a house. You know, you build the foundation, you work your way up. So if we only start with cold traffic, then when we crack it, we have that leaky bucket right there. So for us, we just start off with the lower funnel, work our way up. I technically do a new ad concept or a new ad set for every ad concept I launch. And an ad concept is just like a desire, awareness, sophistication, avatar, and either photo or video all kind of put together. And then that either makes my video or makes my photo. And I just do like one of those per ad set. So I'll just launch a new ad set in that CBO campaign, launch my 3 ads for that ad concept in that ad set, and then I'll just keep doing that. So like there's some accounts now that we've been running for the last 3-4 years where we have over 300 ad sets in a CBO campaign, but only like probably 15, maybe 20 are on, depending on how much we're spending for that particular client.
And do you ever go more than 3 variations or ads inside of one of those ad sets, or do you keep it small?
Yeah, that's a really good question right there. So what I like to do is I follow the 80-20 rule in the sense of like I'm 20% of the ads I'm testing or new messaging where I go after a new desire, a new awareness level, new sophistication level, new avatar. And then 80% of my ads I'm testing are going to be iterations or variations of an existing winning ad right there. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I just want to repeat successful actions just to keep making me like more money at the end of the day. So when I'm looking at it from a new messaging perspective, I'm only creating 3 ads for that ad concept. So if I sit down and write a script, it's going to be the same script in all 3 of those ads for that ad concept, but I'll just change the visual hook for each one. That's it. Now, let's say I have a winning script and we know for a fact this took overall spin, it's crushing, it's helping us, succeed on our advertising goals and stuff. I will literally go and create like 6 to 12 versions of that exact same video with the exact same script and just change the visuals in it. That's it. And like literally just doing that every week, I found so many winners just by literally changing the videos. And there's a psychological component to it when working with video editors because you're forcing them to go recreate the same script each week. And each week their ads get better because it's like you're forcing them to get more creative every time because they don't want to keep being repetitive. It's literally the same metaphor like in copywriting books where like write 3 pages of headlines, throw the first 2 pages of headlines away. Now that third page is the one with your winning one, because the more you do it of that same thing, the better the output gets. So yeah, so in those other ad sets with like iterations and variations, it'll be anywhere between 1 creative or 50 creatives. It just depends on like how many iterations and variations we want to do of a particular concept itself.
Got it. Understood. And let's talk about AI a little bit. What is your, how are you using it right now on the creative side?
So I don't really do too much in terms of like the actual like me sitting there in Nano. I know Nano Banana has been really popular this week as September 2025. So I don't really do much because I work with a lot of video editors, a lot of graphic designers. So I'm only really focusing on the aspect of the actual script writing process and like landing page writing process. Yeah. Now, as far as like my video editors and like the actual creative side of AI, I have one rule, which is it shouldn't look like AI. That's it. And I think a lot of people, like I get questions like this all the time. Hey, Nick, can I do well with AI creatives? I'm like, if it looks like it's AI, no, you will not do well at all. But if you can actually put something together that doesn't look AI at all, then yes, you'll crush it as long as you have everything else under foundational like research and stuff right. Now, as far as the actual script writing process itself, I find that this is where like a lot of people go wrong because they'll look at like ChatGPT at a beginner level, which is just like, hey, write me an ad script. Here's my product, write me an ad script. And like, to be fair, it's gotten a lot better over the years. But I find with that is that it leaves basically endless possibilities of where ChatGPT can go and everything. And my goal is that I want to continuously narrow down ChatGPT of where it can go to focus on a higher quality output now, because it can only go within this little box I constrain it to and stuff. So like for me, I want to do all the manual research. I do not like letting ChatGPT do the research for me, unless it's like me just asking ChatGPT a question like, what's the symptoms of high blood pressure, right? But I don't want to like give it the idea of like, hey, go research 50 products for me and tell me the negative stars on each one, because it's just not going to have the same understanding of like what I'm going for and stuff. So all the research I'm doing for myself, and then genuinely what will happen is kind of like 2 things will happen. Number one, I start sprouting ad ideas as I'm doing that research, and I'll just do the rough draft for those ad ideas. So those rough drafts may be full on start to finish. Some of them might just be like 5 words. And then I'll take that rough drafts, give it to ChatGPT with my research, and have ChatGPT finish those rough drafts for me. And that works really well because a lot of the time as a writer, you're kind of thinking on how to put things together. And the cool thing about ChatGPT is that it allows you to almost outsource that in a way to like, hey, you go do the logical connections for me, and I'm just more copy chiefing for you. Then you have the other area, which is like, I have no clue what to write. I have no ideas or anything. I'm working with a complex product. So I'll give ChatGPT all the relevant information I have. And then I basically just be like, hey, like, look, give me 10 ad angles, right? Here's my product. Here's my research. Give me 10 ad angles and like list them from most likely to convert versus least likely to convert. And you can only use these 2 documents. You can't use anything else. And usually that'll give me some pretty good outputs when I'm like in a, just kind of roadblock. Which is not often, but it does happen, especially when you're writing things for a long time. Yeah.
But you prefer to use it. You prefer to use it as like kind of the manual worker, and you're the strategist and copy chief.
Correct. Yeah, I find that's the best way to use AI. And then also too, don't forget, like if you have the ad idea and you know exactly what you want it to write, like literally just sit down and write that ad idea real quick if you know exactly what you want to write. I've seen so many people like get fed up with ChatGPT. I'm like, why? Like, I want ChatGPT to say this, but it's not. I'm like, well, tell it. Like literally give it the ad idea you want and then let it go down that path.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, one thing you mentioned before that I do want to circle back to is AOV. So that's, as we all know, it's a huge aspect of every part of the funnel, including media buying. The bigger your AOV, the better you can the more you can spend in the auction. What are some things you're doing to boost that AOV? What are some tactics?
So I feel like everyone's already doing the quantity, like discounts and stuff, you know, buy one, buy two, get one free, buy three, get two free. So like, yeah, like those are good. Where I find a lot of people are stuck at is that like they don't go out there and actually add more products to their website. They're solely reliant on, hey, I sell this one thing, which is potty training diapers. And they just keep trying to upsell people more on potty training diapers. It's like, yeah, that works once. That's why you have the bundle and save option on your site. But like, if you want to effectively upsell people more things, look at brands like Ridge. Ridge does a really good job. They just constantly keep hitting you with all these interesting gadgets as you like already buying the wallet. Or like AG1, where like, you know, you buy the powder by itself, or you buy the powder on subscribe and save, and then you get like 5 other things that are completely different. They don't just try to upsell you on more powder.
Yeah.
So I always like to look at like the post-purchase upsells. Obviously you have like in-cart upsells and in-cart upsells are going to be like when I go to like Apple, for example, and buy like an iPhone and get like other products specifically for my iPhone. But when I'm looking at post-purchase and like using like after sell, for example, I always like to do 2 things. I like to have a upsell and a downsell. So like if I'm selling potty training diapers, for example, then it's like, okay, I know people want, like they desire a kid that's, you know, they're fully potty trained, you know, they don't have to deal with this anymore. And they just want like a one solution that just ends it all as fast as possible. So it's like, for me, I sold them the diapers. Then the next thing I want to look at here is, what are other products that are completely different than my diapers that they can use in conjunction with my diapers to make potty training possible not to fail. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll get them like the potty training toilet seat, potty training alarm to like alarm the kids to go use the restroom and stuff. Maybe I'll give them like a booklet too of like a training protocol for a couple of days they have to follow and everything like that. I may give them like, I don't know, maybe some type of like potty training bed sheets, right? So it's like I'm giving them a couple different products to make a bundle, and the bundle will typically be 2 times higher than what my current AOV is. So if my AOV is roughly around $50, I'll make this bundle at $100, worth like $300. If they decline that bundle, then the downsell will just be one of those products from that bundle. So like, hey, if you decline that bundle, then you just get the training booklet for 50% of the AOV. So they have a 2x AOV, then a 50% of the AOV. And that's giving us some really good take rates, just using after sell. I think it's by Rocket or something like that. And that's worked really well to increase the AOV. And it's also like building out specific scenarios for that customer, what they're trying to achieve, and just more products to help them make it impossible, like I said, just for failure not to happen, basically.
So you prefer the complementary products, really leaning into that. Building around that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, Nick, thank you so much for your time. We went pretty deep. We covered, everything from media buying to AOV. I appreciate it. I think the audience will appreciate it. Where can people find you? What do you, how can they get in touch with you? I know you have your YouTube channel, which they probably follow, but what's the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, easy. It's just Nick Theriot on YouTube. And then Nick Theriot on literally like Instagram and Twitter. I think I'm more responsive on Instagram specifically. I do post a lot on Twitter as well, but I don't really check it much. But yeah, Instagram pretty responsive as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Well, we appreciate it. Take care, Nick. Great to have you on, and see you. Hopefully have you back later on.
Awesome. Thank you, man.